Steely Dan show at Chastain Amphitheater in Atlanta, Georgia. And none other than, oh, I already said Steely Dan, is playing tonight. And we have James Stobbs here of workinginmusic.com. James, we just want to ask you a few questions because we know you're a huge Steely Dan fan.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the other people. Would you just pan around and look at all these thousands, hundreds of thousands of people? James, as a musician, let's start with Donald Fagen.
Okay.
How has he influenced you as a musician, not only a musician, but as a person?
Wow, great question. As a musician, Donald Fagen's influenced me with his vocal harmonies. If you listen to Steely Dan's music, the vocal harmonies are such a trademark sound of what they did. Lots of 3 or 4 part harmonies all over their stuff. From the early maybe it was an area of time.
Sure.
Areola.
Sure
We're gonna have to edit that out. This is a family show.
Hang on, what?
So, but yeah, the vocal harmonies, as a person, I would say Donald Fagen's influenced me with his storytelling because he's created such vivid characters in his songwriting.
Let me ask you this question.
Whether it's Josie or Peg or whether it's Deacon Blues.
Sure there are.
Or Rose Darling.
In daily life, how many times do you think of Steely Dan?
I think of Steely Dan at least 8 times a day.
It's extraordinary. Absolutely
I might think of Steve Gadd. I might think of Steve Gadd's drum solo.
That is absolutely
extraordinary. But I also think about how I think Keith Carlock. I like his interpretation of the Asia drum solo. Actually, I prefer Keith Carlock's version of the solo to Steve Gadd's version. I know some people might.
Do you really? Wow, that's very.
I know a lot of people
ballsy,
might have
if you will.
Some issue with that, but for me, I love Keith Carlock's playing.
It sort of takes, some nuts, if you will, to say what you just said.
It does. It takes some chutzpah.
Because Steve Gadd, pistachio nuts there. Well, James, we want to thank you for your commentary this evening.
Tell me, what does Steely Dan's music mean to you?
Steely Dan music has colored my life, if you will. Ever since childhood, I remember being a little boy, and my dad would be in the other room playing Steely Dan albums. And I remember going in there and picking up the Steely Dan's greatest hits. Just kind of looking at it and opening up and just hearing the music. And my dad's a musician, and he always would talk about how musically these guys were musical geniuses. And so I grew up and I started to play drums myself and be interested in music, and I always aspired to be as good as these guys and to play like them and to sort of try to master my instrument. Hadn't happened yet. I don't know if it ever will, but they've been sort of my goal, if you will.
What do you think of Donald Fagen's teeth?
His teeth?
Yeah. He has those fangs.
He does?
You don't know about Donald Fagen's fangs?
Well, that's why the song Haitian Divorce came about. It's about vampires. And they were singing about his teeth. Did you know that?
What do you think about Donald Fagen's fangs?
I think they're amazing.
Would you allow Donald's fangs
That
to
is
bite
a sexy mouth, yes.
Me too.
That mouth
Me
is
too.
so sexy.
Me too.
What do you think of Walter Becker's live performance with his vocal rendition of Haitian Divorce?
I plead the fifth.
What do you think about Keith Carlock?
He's one of the best drummers of our time, really. He really is. The thing I like about Keith Carlock, he actually plays in a small venue, a small bar in New York City regularly with a couple of others. There's a guy who plays guitar. Do you know about this? He's played guitar on Donald Fagen's solo tour. I can't think of his name right now, but they both play in this small little club. After touring with a huge band like Steely Dan, and then being able to go and see this guy and and shake his hand, which I might do in the future. But I like that he's like big time, but he has a small time persona, if you will. Ensemble.
Well, Rob, thanks for your time. I hope you have a great time.
You're welcome in advance. Thanks for coming.
What does Steely Dan's music mean to you?
Say, who is that?
Absolutely nothing.
You're not a fan of the music?
No, I'm a fan of you guys.
Okay. What about that song, Hey 19?
I know it, and I think that from what I remember, it had a good video.
What about the song, Ricky Don't Lose That Number?
Classic rock, hits, and I've heard it, so I will know that song when I hear it, but no emotions there.
What do you, tonight about this concert, tell me, like, what do you hope to have happen? Like, what kind of experience do you want to have happen? Do you think that you'll have a Steely Dan white light experience?
No.
Okay.
Good talk.
Hey, Megan, we're here at the Steely Dan show. Tell me, you're a big Steely Dan fan.
The biggest?
What does their music mean to you? Talk to me about that.
Well, basically, Steely Dan is me. When I was 15 years old, I was in the car with my mom. We were driving home, and Deacon Blues was on the radio.
Good one.
And it hit me like a lightning bolt. It just made sense to me. The way that architecture makes sense to...
Brad Pitt?
Well, I wouldn't go there. But people that...
Frank Lloyd Wright?
Yes. It just spoke to me. I just knew it was something I needed to know more about. And I said, Mom, who is this? And she said, I think it's Steely Dan. And that's where everything started for me. I got Citizen Steely Dan as a Christmas present. I got my parents into it. I usually get made fun of for it, but
yeah,
I don't really care because people are missing out. It's kind of like if you don't like Steely Dan and you don't like Rush, there's something wrong with your head.
A lot of people criticize Steely Dan for their perfection, and they say that their records are too precise.
That's because they're just jealous they didn't get asked to be on the album.
Well, we're not talking about musicians or players. Let's just talk about a regular music fan. I mean, what would you say to that? Their records are too perfect. They're too smooth. What would you say to that?
I mean, I guess it's just a matter of opinion, but I don't know. I'm not interested in. Well, you know what though? What's perfection? I mean, I'm sure that they don't even think they're perfect. I guarantee you, even when they cut an album, they don't think it's perfect. They probably hear nothing but mistake after mistake after mistake. Just as a director, he probably sees flaws in his or her movie all the time. But I don't know. I mean, I don't even really think. I mean, is it really an argument? It's too precise. It's really just a matter of opinion.
That's right.
I mean, they could that person might think that like Britney Spears is awesome. Which is fine if that's what you think, but it's just a totally different style.
What are you looking forward to tonight from the concert?
Singing along to every word, every song, and not giving a bleep what anyone around me thinks.